How's everybody doing? Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get things done as quickly as possible. But you know, again, you all know what I'm doing, what I'm involved in. Oh God, what is this entanglement that I have going on here? Oh, the spirits are getting restless. That's what I can say. Nah, okay. Now let's see if we can fix this a little bit here. All right, there we go. Because the altar, yeah, they want to be a part of the video. Okay. Uh, Today we're going to talk about compatibility of signs, and we're going to talk about Leo and Sagittarius, fixed fire and mutable fire. Where do we find this combination in nature? Well, the sun is fire, and then you have the lesser fire, which is the fire that we create here on earth. Okay? In Kenya, over millions of years ago, Cro-Magnon man rubbing sticks together sparked and created fire. That was the birth of Sagittarius here on earth. The fire above is the fiery sun of Leo, illuminating our solar system. And then the fire that we as human beings create, and then the fire of the divine spark of the creator that's within us, which defines the soul, is the essence of the mutable fire of Sagittarius. It's deep. We have a lot to cover with this combination. So we're going to jump right in, and we're going to discuss where we see this and how this translates into the human personality and ego of each individual couple that falls under this compatibility of signs. Okay. Now we're going to get started with, we're going to start first with um, the Sagittarius and Leo combination. You have to understand that to understand Leo and to understand Sagittarius and this combination, you do have to understand that it's fire. It's fire. It's still fiery energy. So we know it's fiery energy. How do you contain fire? Fire is very difficult to contain. It's very difficult. It's difficult to maintain. Okay, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Fire is dangerous. Really, any element, any element can be dangerous. Earth, mudslides, quicksand, earthquakes, right? Air, tornadoes, cyclones. The planes can fall from the air. Tornadoes can destroy homes, kill people just as effectively as an earthquake. Then you have water. And water, you have hurricanes, typhoons, if we're talking about the eastern part of our planet, where they're called typhoons, right? And this side, in the west, we call them hurricanes. Same difference. Equally destroy. Then you have fire, like the brush fires of northern and now southern California. Well, it was, of course, mostly Southern California, but now it has reached Northern California, something that we haven't seen. So, it's getting worse as the dry season approaches. You got these fires in southern and northern California that go out of control. And not just California. It happens in other parts of the world that the media doesn't discuss or doesn't tell us. We don't know much of what goes on in the Far East and the Middle East as far as nature, because we're not concerned about that here in the West, where things are peaceful and perfect for now. But Mother Nature is waking up. Look at the Hawaiian Islands and what's going on there. Just bursting forward the volcano and the poisonous gases that are being emitted on that part of the world. That's Sagittarius, mutable fire. And now there's millions of evacuations now going on in the islands of Hawaii because of Oahu and Uala, where these volcanic, you see it, the magma is spurring out, the ring of fire. That's Sagittarius, mutable fire. Mutable fire is far more dangerous than fixed fire because we got the sun represented by Leo as the fixed fire. But thank God that the sun is not falling in our direction. And thank God that the Earth orbit is not too close to the sun where there'll be no life. We're right in that Goldilocks zone, in that perfect degree where we're not scorched and we're not consumed or dried up. Just perfect. I tell you, life is very delicate. The reason that we have life as we know it is by a fine thread. 1 degree difference can mean our annihilation. This is the essence of Sagittarius, mutable fire on Earth. Sagittarian fire is less tameable. It's far more dangerous. So how do you manage the mutable fire when you're dealing with a fixed? And the human personality, the Leo personality, you have to understand, is very fixed. They have to be led. They have to be inspired to move, to act. Otherwise, the king just sits on his throne. Remember, he's not supposed to roll his hands or roll his sleeves and get to work. That's not what the king does. The king sits in his throne and he delegates. He delegates. And others do the hard work, the ugly work. But the king, Leo, gets the glory if things work out all right. But otherwise, the Leo personality could care less or be less involved. So in personality and in a composite synastry relationship, which is what the Leo and Sagittarian combination symbolizes, there is a sense of extreme independence on the side of the Sagittarian. Whether the Sagittarian can do anything he or she wants and have no boundaries set. So therefore they can go out and just consume and bring the goods and the spoils back to the king with no speech or input on morality, ethics, scruples, or even virtue. If we're dealing with a bad king, then the people mourn. If we're dealing with a good king, the people rejoice. So with this combination, it can be 50-50. It can be really, really bad for those around this couple, or it can be just absolutely beneficial for those around them. It really depends on the moral pathos of this combination, because you're dealing with a moral, ethical, exalted dignity, which Leo represents. We cannot fight the sun. The sun is the essence of our survival and our sustenance. And we cannot look at it because it'll burn our eyes and we'll go blind. The sun is dangerous. One solar flare can destroy our electromagnetic grid. It can disrupt our radio waves and our satellites. So life is very delicate. It really sits on a delicate balance. So with both Leo and Sagittarius, which is movable fire, oh my God, what can stop this combination? This is another power couple combination. It's another power couple combination. So you have to ask yourself, how will this work out when you're dealing with a Sag woman and a Leo man, right? Well, before we start to break it down into the differentiation of the sexes, we're gonna have to cover a couple of preliminaries. Okay, what can we expect from Sagittarius and Leo compatibility? I mean, clearly, when these two passionate, confident fire signs get together, they meet, there will be a mutual attraction. That's the first thing that you have to understand, is that the attraction will be instant and it will be mutual. The Sag woman can be sexy and fiery sexy when she wants to. Only when she wants to. Otherwise she will resonate masculine energy. Down with the bro. Not particularly feminine or sexy, but it depends on the man. If you're talking to a water sign man or an earth sign man, they're probably not gonna appreciate it too much. Because these are feminine signs. Earth and water are feminine. Fire and air is masculine. So these are probably gonna appeal to the feminine nature. Like myself personally, I'm more attracted to women that are more feminine than they are masculine. But I'm Earth, and Earth is a feminine element. So I'm going to be attracted to the inner feminine. This is the same situation with water signs, another feminine element. The masculine fire and air elements have a different psychological orientation when it comes to the sexes, and for the most part, human sexuality. I'm going to see if I can do a series on that alone, because that really can explain a lot of things. So, when you have this instant and mutual attraction, that becomes the basis for the honeymoon phase. When the honeymoon phase is over, when the physical spark is over, no, because you have to, but then again, with this combination, more so than any other combination, the foreplay and the honeymoon phase of the relationship may last longer with this combination than with any other combination. Because when it comes to sex, the fire signs, they tend to add an element of playfulness. You know? An element of playfulness. Yeah, they do. They enjoy sex and the ultimate, ecstasy that it brings. But that's not the goal when it comes to sexual intercourse with this combination. They truly enjoy the courtship. They have more fun with the courtship and have more sexually gratifying sex when it comes to the courtship than they do the actual delivering the goal and the orgasm and the whole nine bits. You know? So this combination, more so than most, will probably enjoy a very long honeymoon phase of the relationship. So they truly do enjoy each other in the most tasteful way, when it comes to sex, propagated by the physical attraction due to that divine spot which Sagittarius can emulate and bring also well. Okay? But both of these signs are open and sociable. And that's another thing that adds to their appeal. They are like that by nature. And although Sagittarius is a great adventurer, and his adventures are both outwardly, but they're also mentally. A lot of astrologers don't talk about that when it comes to Sagittarius. Sagittarius can go inward and can have just as much fun going into their own inner fantasies, into their own inner realm, than experiencing adventure externally in the open environment. They experience ecstasy in their travels, whether it's inward or outward. And that's something that many astrologers don't talk about Sagittarians. Sagittarians, the reason why they're so buoyant and can bounce back. They could be in a horrible relationship with somebody, abusive, downright, but they will tune them out. They will tune in and tune you out and tune everything that's happening around them out. That's how Tina Turner was able to survive the abuses of the late legendary husband and sort of icon himself, the late Ike Turner. You know, she was a Sag, he was a Scorpio. And we all know the story. We all seen the movie. You know, how did you think that a woman like that was able to survive that kind of horror? Most women elect to go inward. Not so much the Sagittarian man, especially when he's younger. But it does become much more stronger when he gets older, which is why he becomes philosophical when he gets older or when she gets older, because the introspection turns inward instead of outward. So if you're a Sagittarian man or woman, expect that you're going to go through this transition. And this transition is usually a very painful transmutation process, and it can cause great anxiety and great crisis. It usually occurs around age 30 and again around age 50, mid 50s with Sagittarius. Don't be terrified of it. And I know why you're terrified, because there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and there's only destruction in the present and that faded past behind you. Doesn't lend much for a prospect of hope. But that's where the Sagittarian gets rescued. That is where he's at his best and at his strongest, he or she. Because it is from nothing is that the divine reaches out his hand and rescues the Sagittarian. But for that to occur, you have to surrender to the introspection and go into an analysis of what's going on around you for that to occur. Understand, Mr. Sag, that you are going to be far more ahead than Leo. Remember, Leo is number 5. Sagittarian is number 9 in the zodiacal series. So the evolution and wisdom that you as a Sagittarian has reached, Leo is yet to reach. Leo is still functioning on the lower aspect of personality, because the Leo in the astrological series represents the personality, the ego, the id. We've read in psychology about the id, the ego, and the superego. Well, the id is governed by Aries. The ego is Leo, and the superego is Sagittarius. It's a scale upwards, a spiral upwards. So don't be surprised if your Leo man or your Leo woman is not at the level of emotional maturity or even intellectual understanding or advancement as you. Which means that you will have to take lead in that relationship, Mr. or Mrs. Sagittarian. I'm speaking to you specifically. So, you want to know who's the boss? Who's the boss? You are. Yes, Leo is going to have a problem. Now, let's flip it. If it's a Leo woman, I can't say Leo woman without putting a smile on my face. Y'all know how I feel about the Leo woman. Okay. She will probably be the boss. She'll be the boss. She will manage and supervise, change, transmute, and transform, and improve and exalt her man. The Leo woman loves doing that, provided that you return that to her in kind. Because if you don't give her due respect and her due dignity as a Leo woman, well, you just fucked up with this woman. The Leo man is different. The psychology of the Leo man is different. It's unlike the psychology of the Leo woman. So, having said that, how will you make this relationship work and make it trouble-free? You know? And can it be trouble-free? Well, I hate to have dashed your hopes. Sorry to have to dash your hopes. But no, no. There's going to be trouble. It's gonna come with trouble, especially. But the trouble, the problem, really will not occur because of you and your man. You know, the little woman and her Sag man, or vice versa. The relationship will come from the outside. People interfering, people adding their opinions when none was asked for. People will put in the 2 cents and try to opinionate and will try to hurt the relationship in some way. You have to understand that when you are surrounded with a couple that resonates like like the vibration of the Leo Sagittarius, you want to be around them. You want to be them. You want to emulate them. It's like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. They're not Sag and Leo, but it's that kind of aura, that kind of energy that a couple gives. There are many couples in Hollywood that exude and give off this beautiful package of perfection and completion. Completion. But at the end of the day, it's an illusion because what you see the outwardly may not be a true representation of what's happening inwardly. So this combination can also be quite deceptive. Not so much to themselves, but to those and the external. Okay? So this is another example of a power couple, but a far more sophisticated couple and more laid back, less gregarious than the most. This couple is gonna be happy just existing, just being together. The mere presence of them in the room together is enough to nullify and quell any issue or any problem that may be facing the relationship or each individual person within the couple. Jupiter is the benefactor, the greater benefactor. Venus is the lesser benefactor. Uh, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. The sun, the strongest life force in our universe. Well, not the universe, but our particular solar system. That's shit. You know? So when you have the king of the gods, Zeus, Jupiter, and then the king of all that was, is, and will be, Leo, together, how could you not hate? How could you not hate? I hate them too. Of course. It's a dream. It is. No. It all depends on the level of maturity. It depends on the level of maturity with this combination. Now, you're gonna see a certain level of buoyancy and certain level of loyalty and commitment and actually pure honesty. You're going to see that in the eyes of the young Sagittarian and young Leo, you know, and it improves. This is a combination where you can meet when you're young, like in your 20s, early 20s, and you'll still be married well into your late 50s. Remember in the 1950s, people used to get married much younger, at 18, 19. Those were marriage years if you were raised in the 50s, right? 50s, 40s. No? And that couple was expected to stay together forever. And many couples in the 50s did, which what gave rise to the baby boomers, you know, which really fueled the industry of this country as quiet as it's kept. You know, that sense of beauty and loyalty you can see as a relic now. in the couple of the Leo and the Sagittarian. It's beautiful to see. And we're done with part 1.